Hello everyone, I like to introduce in this video how to create a web form in HTML. First of all, we create a simple HTML file. For example, employee dot HTML. We create a simplified HTML. We can use exclamation mark and enter to create a HTML file. If you like to create a web form, you can use the elements or the bodies or the tag form. So we create form, and inside this elements form we can create our HTML web form. For example, give the number, give your ID, and we create a text box to introduce this ID. If we like to create a text box, we can use the elements input type text. That means we introduce the text inside this box, input type text. If you visualize the result, you can find the results. Right click, open with live server, and we can give your ID. In this text box we can introduce my number. For example, my number in Morocco 64665. Voila. So if you like to create a text box to introduce the data, you can use simply input type text. Now we return a line or a break. Voila, go to another line, use BR. Voila, now give your name, or tap your name, or tap introduce or tap your, for example, your name. In the same case we can use input type text. En français, ça on appelle in French un text box. Voilà. So we can use that BR to return to a new line. If you visualize the result now, you can use give your ID, give your name. Now you can give my ID, for example, my name is Bay, for example. Introduce the data. Now we can specify the type of data inside the text box. If we like to introduce only number, we can use input type number to introduce only number in a text box. Then give your ID, give your name. You constate, you remark that we use type number if we like to introduce only number, and text if we will like to introduce the text. Voila. Remark that Visual Studio lets me only enter the number. If I like to introduce in ID, for example, text, I don't have the authority to write the text, because input type number, we must enter only number. Voila, we remark that. So if we like to introduce a password, for example, give your ID, give your name, the same. We can copy this, Ctrl C and Ctrl V. Voilà, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Give your name, give your first name, for example, give your first name in the give your second last name is the same text. Now we introduce give the password. Voila, give your password. Now we can use a special input type. Now we write password to write a password. Voila. Remark that in password, voila, remark the results. Voila. Give your ID, so we can introduce 1, 2, 3. My first name is Behi, my last name is Nordin, and give your password like password. We cannot watch the inputs. If we like to watch the inputs, we click in this A's, voila, and we can write. So summarize this. If we like to introduce the password, you must use input type password. Now email. All email must contain at last arrobask and .com, .gmail, etc. If we like to introduce, for example, give the email, we can use input type email to introduce the email, and we close this and we return in a new line. So the result is voila, ID, name, first name, last name, password, and email. We must introduce a true email. For example, gmail.com. This is a correct email. But if the arrobask is missed, we have a error. When we click, we have an error. If we have a button to submit the value, the HTML5 indicates that you make a mistake because the email don't contain the arrobask. So if you like to add a button to submit all the given data, so if you like to introduce a button into your web form, you can use input type submit. This is a button submit. Wow. Submit is a button to submit or collect data and send the data to a specific location. Voilà. If we like to results, you can start submit. Now, if we write a non-correct email, constate that we have insert a symbol arrobask, insérer un symbole arrobask dans l'adresse email. This is in French. In English, you tell you that please insert arrobask inside the email or the email. You constate this red line. So if we like nunu.gmail.com, this is a gmail.com. This is a correct email. Voila. Resume that Web form contain a controls. We call this controls control text box, control password, control email, etc. Voilà, we call it controls, HTML controls. Voilà, voilà. So, the web form. Voilà. We can organize this using a table to organize all these elements inside a table, tr, td, like the previous video. Voilà. So we can add other controls like you have a diploma or no. No, you can add féminin masculin in French. يعني the sex. Yes. The sex is male, female. Ce sont des radio boutons. We can use this. We can introduce this in هنا. So bouton submit. Voilà. Now we can use sex. Voilà. We can use femelle, mâle, femelle. Female. Voilà. Female. Voilà. Male. Yak. Male. Voilà. We can introduce input type radio. Voilà. Input type radio. Voilà, ce sont type radio. Can use BR, and now we can use input type radio, like the button in a radio. Voilà. We can choose one. We can click, press one. Press one on. Wow. Yeah. Voila. BR. So if you like to check the results, you remark that we have female and male. We can we can coche only one. But if we like to coche only one, you must use the name. Voilà. And so go to the documentation to watch how to create a radio button. So if you like to create our button, so select checkbox. Voilà, how to create a radio bouton type radio. Les boutons radio permettent à un utilisateur de sélectionner seulement un parmi un nombre limité de choix. This radio button lets the user to choose only one. If we would like to program this, we can input type radio and give the same name to the two radio button names to the sex. So we can add only the name, sex, and add now name, sex. Wow. Same category. So we can press only in a one radio button. Look the results. Now we can press female or male. If we like to press to shows only one option, you must add in input tip radio name and give the same name to the radio button. We try to develop a checkbox. For example, which languages you speak. You speak English, French, Arab, etc. You can choose multiple shows. You can press into multiple check. Now we call this checkbox. The difference between checkbox and radio button, that radio button we can only choose one, but checkbox we can choose set a lot of. So if we like to add this we can use, you can go to Visual Studio and try to program shows your language you speak, languages you speak. So we can bear, and we try to input type checkbox. Well, the first checkbox, language Arab. Input type checkbox. Input checkbox. French. Pair. Input type checkbox English, etc. The result must be choose languages you speak. I speak Arab and English. You can speak French and English, etc. If we like to program this, we can use only input type check box. So it is easy to create a form. Recall only that if you like to create a text box, you use input type text, email input type email, number input type number. If you like to checkbox, input type checkbox, input type radio, etc. Now we can use input type dot if we like to introduce the dot. So go to Submit and BR running Submit envoyer. We can. You have two ways to create button. You can use input type Submit, and you can create a simple button by writing button. So Submit in French envoyer, send the data. So we check the result. Submit. This is a button. This is a web form. We can organize this using table to clarify and put this elements in a good way. Ça va? Alhamdulillah. Now we can add, for example, give the birthday, date de naissance en français, date de naissance, the day that you birthday, or give the date of baccalaureate يعني the dates you obtain your back voila dates. So we can use this. We go to give you the email, and now I give your en français date de naissance. You give your birthday, yeah. In English, birthday, correct? Yes. So we can use input type date. Simply, voila. No? And always bear to return to a new line. So give your birthday, and HTML5 give a calendar to enter the correct dates. It is simply with HTML5. HTML5 give us the opportunity to introduce the dates with a good manner using a calendar. You only write input type dates. This is a summary to how to create a web form. Now, for example, shows your town, shows your city. A country contain a set of city. For example, Morocco contain Rabat, Bni Mellal, Casa. For example, Liberia contain a set. Your capital. Monrovia. Yes. Voilà. Now you can create a select. We call it in HTML a drop-down list, or a drop-down list en français, une liste déroulante en français. In English, drop-down. If we like to create a drop-down, we can only write this. Select this option. Select name. Now we can use option. We can introduce now. Voila. Then so we try to create this. Voila. So now we create select. Voila. We write shows your city. Shows your city, and we give all the options. First options. Write your first city, your capital. Voila. In Liberia, the name. Monrovia. Add the second preferred city in Liberia. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. You can write inside this. Let's see. Wait. You can introduce right here. Voilà. Write your third city. We can Greenville. Contain the nature. So if you visualize the results, you can Voilà, shows your city. So we can use BR to switch to a new line. So you can use BR. Voilà. Go to visualize the results. Shows your city. Monrovia, Vonjama, Greenville, etc. Voilà. If you like to create like this list, you can only tap select option, etc. You can, if you have this book. This is the official course of HTML. We can find inside this document all web control, like checkbox, select, radio button, text box, etc. Thank you very much, and see you again to explain the CSS, inshallah. Thank you.
Wow, so great.